as one of the activities should be content, because it helps us define our character, right? We build our identity, get used to working that muscle, put ourselves in front of others. And if you put it in the right places, it lives on forever.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Success Open Source Podcast. Daniel, how you doing, man?
I'm delightful. I like to always start things off by saying,
that's a good word. What?
Hey, how you doing?
Is that the word for you today?
Delightful. Yes, word of the day. What does it mean?
You don't hear that often when you ask people.
Right? You gotta change it up. You gotta change it up every so often.
I'm going to say mine is swimming.
So I was swimming today. Huh?
I'm not drowning.
Not floating.
I'm not floating on the lazy river, but I'm swimming.
Very good. Very good. The question is, what
just
direction?
Keep swimming.
All right. What to me?
Sometimes it feels like upstream. Sometimes
there you go.
I think that's part of it.
That's life, right? Let's just keep swimming, right? Just keep swimming.
Yeah. So what are some of the things we're swimming in right now? Top of mind, I think, is content, right?
100%.
I mean, we've talked a lot about building an audience and getting traffic to your business. We really want to double down and build this foundational skill of writing, content creation, and building that muscle.
100%.
So let's start
there. 100%.
What do you got on your mind with it?
I would like to at least pre-frame everything by saying the reason why we even double down on content is because that's what everyone is doing. I'm kidding. We're followers. No, but in reality, Alex Armoses also says, like, the levers that you can pull to get leads today is content, right? You can also do paid ads, right? Cold outreach and warm outreach. These are things that you can pull manually on your own in order to generate leads, right? He also goes into the high leverage activities you can do as well, which is just a handed off version of the manual levers you pull. So in this case, it's agency. The agency can help you create content, right? An employee can help you create content if needed, or they can help you handle the cold or warm outreach, right? The other one, what is it? Affiliates is another angle that you can use in order to take care of some of these warm approaches, right? And what's the last one there? I'm missing one more.
He says affiliates, referrals, employees, and agencies.
Referrals, there you go.
I believe.
There you go. I missed them.
He used to say there's 6 ways to acquire a customer.
Oh, really?
Paid ads, content,
so he added 2 more
prospecting,
recently.
affiliate, referrals. So he's simplified. I think he's really, over time honing it in for his new book.
100%.
That'll be interesting.
100%.
That's his weekend. That'll be interesting.
And you guys should go. And if anything, take our affiliate link so we can get a free book and then break it down for you. Right?
There we go. Depending on when this episode goes live.
Very true. But nonetheless, we are diving all in as one of the activities should be content, because it helps us define our character, right? We build our identity, get used to working that muscle, put ourselves in front of others. And if you put it in the right places, it lives on forever, right? So that's really why I'm so interested. If anything, I found that out only because of Noah. Noah's the guy who knows how to save content wherever he's at. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
And that's a huge piece to start at, right? Like, what top of mind question here is, and I was talking to a client today, just talking about that bottleneck. What keeps people from creating content? What is the biggest bottleneck? And I think it can vary depending on who it is, what stage of business, what level of experience with creating content. But we're in an age where blank paper and trying to come up with ideas or pull out what's in you. You have a lot of stuff in you, but you need that trigger, that spark to pull out things. And I think that's what's great with dialogue like this, right? So from your perspective, or let's go your experience, what has held you back from creating content consistently?
I would say the number one thing that's made the biggest difference for me is knowing who I'm writing to, right? And what about, right? So lately I used to just write, like when I started just getting on Twitter recently, I was like, okay, well, what do I talk about? I know that the topics I want to speak to, it's influence, relationships, and productivity, right? I have a good idea, but even with that alone, it's like, okay, well, how do I distill my topic into something that someone might be interested in? And that was the one thing that kept holding me back, because I was like, I sat there for a good 4 days trying to write down these ideas, and it felt like it was going nowhere until the day before yesterday, when I realized, like, hey, someone asked me a specific question, and I started just writing for that person, and I spit out like this really detailed document, you can say, with that included frameworks of what other people said. It included quotes that tied the idea together. It included stories, and I was able to do that all on my phone without stopping. So the moment I realized who I was speaking to and what the problem was about, especially specific to the topic, it just flowed. So I think what helped or what stopped me was the lack of clarity of who am I speaking to at the end of the day.
Right. And it sounds like if it was in you, you're probably speaking to your own experience and pains,
That's
right?
it.
Because we hear Dan Coe, he's phenomenal. Check him out. But he speaks a lot about, like, Gary Vee would say this too. There's interesting things about you. The things you love are the things you're interested can be monetized. And it's not all about monetization. Like, sometimes it is fully just being a part of who you are and being real. And then the layered with the things that are very tangible, like that you may have an offering around, right? But I think we've both been in the place where we try to write around something that's not part of who we are. And it's just, I mean, maybe we could deep dive and try to get interested in it, but it's not baseline, like kind of who we are and what drives us. And I think that's important too, is you can be pretty wide with
You
content.
can,
I think some people maybe think they can only write about that one thing
100%.
that their business revolves around. That's been a game changer, eye opener for me, is breaking that down into the bigger pillars, and then curating ideas around that.
100%. I love that. And I think us being success open source, seeing what's working for several people and highlighting that, it's really what I want to bring an example about right now. So my sister, this kid is a really good example of what you mentioned right now. Her experience, or your experience as the protagonist, right? What you experience is really your message, right? Or, well, how did Russell Brunson say it? Your mess becomes your message, right? And for her, it was a very bad mess, right? In this case, she had a boyfriend who used to, hit her, right? To the point where, as a single mom, she became a single mom because, the father, right, was to be very abusive, right? So she had to run away from that, right? And then it got to the point where she's like, I don't know how to work full time and handle and kind of raise my child the way I want to raise him. So she started going the route of, like, just helping other people who were going through that self-defense mechanism, like getting the spousal abuse. And she started selling some safety equipment to be able to fight off these people who would fight her, like pepper spray, a taser. And before you know it, her online presence started taking off. I mean, to the point where people were, like, sending her videos saying, you don't realize how much that meant to me. Like, your story, the fact that you found empowerment, even though when you feel so low, she became a small beacon in a way. By no means is she huge, but she's been making, like, from just selling this, like those pepper spray and those self-defense equipment, like $700 a week, right? As a single mom, that's become a win. It's very, of course, it's small, but the thing is, like, that really proves that regardless of where you're at, it can be the hardest, toughest situations. It can change and help others who are also feeling that same pain as you're having right now. And if anything, it becomes a beacon. It pulls them to want to say, I can get to the other side of this. And if anything, I can become empowered by this. So that's a really good point I want to just drive home. Regardless of what you're doing or where you're at and what you've done, that's enough. But your character, that story will resonate with someone else, one of the 7 billion people in this world.
It's really good. It's really good. Your pain can be translated into purpose.
Yes.
Because people are going through the same thing.
Yes.
And I think we all have problems we're trying to get away from, and we all have desires we're trying to move towards. I think it can be a combo of moving towards and away at the same time, right? But remember that ChatGPT thread I sent you the other day, where I created that 3-table column around the 7 pillars of pain, and I kind of put our us as the audience in there, and building the online business, and it was kind of insane. One, it makes so much sense to have all those 7 key pain topics, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, relational, and it was just like, whoa, that's
Didn't
me.
you shed a
And
tear?
it put language
I
to
think
it.
you said you shed a tear when you read through that, right?
I might have. I've been listening to some songs too this week.
It was raining at the
Hey,
same time.
man, tears are real.
Right?
Yeah, we got kids in kindergarten, first grade. It's hitting milestones over here. But yeah, that was really cool to me to to remind me like, wow, there's other people in that same shoe, and I could write about my journey in a tactical ways. Like as I learn and as I'm trying to progress, I can share helpful tips along the way. And I think I saw someone the other day, that guy that you shared on Twitter, he kind of has an avatar face, but he said that his best performing posts so far are ones where he's just documenting his journey. Like people want to see what's working for you because it's real. And it's like, oh, if it could work for him, it could work for me. So
that caused me to click the follow button, really, because it just says like, I'm going through that too. His journey, he says, hey, I want to get to 2,000 subscribers in 30 days, right? He only had followers. He only had 1,000, right? And he's sharing what he's feeling. He literally put a post out there. Why is it so hard to press the follow button? That's all he said. That thing got like 17,000 views. And that's what caught my attention to interact with him. Who would have known? Like, but his pain of like, why aren't you guys following me? Right? Why is it so hard? That popped up, and he got so many followers from his experience. Like, why is it so hard to do that? You know what I mean? So,
which strikes to me that you talk about a lot is a big idea.
Big idea.
Right? What's that big idea? What are some big ideas that you can latch onto and pull out, find different ways to talk about, and, those big ideas that have sub ideas underneath them.
100%. 100%.
Right.
I love that.
So, what do you want to kind of share, like what we're kind of pursuing in the framework we see behind content?
Yes. So initially,
maybe it'll help give a nugget to someone.
It'll connect the dots, right? And I think that's that's at the end of the day, that's what we're
Why,
hoping
how?
to do, right? We're seeing what industry is going, what someone has done in a specific industry, and lay it out so that way people can follow the same path if needed. So for us personally, trying to distill who that one person is, the target customer, it's been a tough one for me. I spoke about in this podcast before that the person I want to chase after is the software space, right? The SaaS space is ever growing, right? Everyone has a software. Look at ChatGPT is connected to everything now, right? That's a software in itself. So like it's just expanding, and people are willing to throw money at it because at the end of the day, it's an asset, right? And that's what pulled me really into it. But I actually strayed away for a little bit because I realized like the people I've interacted with in the past who were SaaS owners, they weren't the type of person who were willing to collaborate with us in the way that we want. Because I think you and I both know that we want to build a relationship where I can have you on a first name basis, text you, you're in my community, you're in my inner circle, we can chat, right? And I thought maybe I should step away from that. I think I told you, I said, hey, I want to go to consulting, right? The consulting space, right? But then I thought, like, that's all I know. I spoke to well over 1,000 software owners, and they told me all their pain. And I remember thinking, like, wait, there are a couple people who are software owners who are willing to get into that community mindset. Look at Russell Brunson. Like, he's literally a software owner. Of course, he's huge. And
look at us. We're selling software.
We're selling software, and they were you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, it's like
it's services attached to it, but still
100%. And I thought, like, well, that broke my belief, right? So with that in mind, I don't want to stray from what I'm saying and what I want to do. I still want to be able to serve the startup software space who are productive, and most importantly, like you mentioned, this is the new piece of it, right? They want to give, what did you tell me? You said they want to glorify God and also give good to others. I have to memorize the way you said it.
Live for the glory of God and the good of others.
So, and that's really what it is.
That's purpose.
Purpose, right? So, and I realized, okay, now I really dialed down my person, and I told myself, okay, well, I want to go through a full iteration, a full launch cycle, so that way I can say I've done it, right? So that was the hardest thing for me, because trying to think of what content to write every day just to write for the sake of content was so hard for me. I'm like, there's no end goal. There's nothing for me to go toward. Like, what? This should make sense. It should stack upon each other. So I realized this.
Super important there.
Yeah.
Because why, what, how, right? You always want to have all three.
Did that feel the thing?
Yeah, you started to get to the why, because I really wanted to, like, oh, wait, we should probably back up there and share why create content, right? We don't create content for content's sake, or, I mean, we're personally not doing it just to feel good about ourselves that we're, you know, getting clout or getting followers.
100%.
ultimately we want to, I think our why is to not only help us grow and solidify these ideas and frameworks and systems for ourselves, but it's a moral obligation we're starting to feel to put this out there and to help others. And it's just fun when you can actually make some time to connect with people and you get feedback on that helped me or that was helpful or have you thought of that, and then your content gets better. So you get a feedback loop, and then you're attracting people that you could potentially partner with and or be a customer to serve, right? So I think pairing that with a who behind that, and like trying to come up with a persona and tying yourself into that, right? You need to be able to relate. So I think you're trying to find similarities in that person that you're writing for, and then just sharing the journey, right? Sharing the frameworks and trying to turn ideas into tactical
I
things.
love that. Absolutely.
Sometimes it's just a perspective shift, like you say,
And
right?
you literally just
You
put
ever,
it
you ever read
together.
those one sentence tweets? You're like, dang, change your whole
I'm
perspective
gonna
for the whole
screenshot
week.
this, right? Right. And so
Yeah.
you broke it down why I was going that route, and it looks like we're doing it to help others, but also to build a relationship, right? We wanna serve and feel like we're doing a lot more for this world rather than just collecting a paycheck, right? The what is, now we narrow down the person that we want to serve and move toward, and we know exactly what we're doing. We're helping them with lead generation at the end of the day, so that way they can focus on what needed best, right? If we can save them time to hang out with their kids, even better, right? And I think the how now behind what I was doing personally was I created I want to launch starting from today, create 100 pieces of content over the span of 46 days, which will land on my birthday, right? September 30th, right? So 2 posts a day up until my birthday, talking about a specific problem to that software or you would say the SaaS creative or the visionary SaaS entrepreneur who wants to put their product in front of the hands of more people. So we're speaking to that problem and tying in what Scaling Engine can do to save that time. So I created a huge list of 100 different headlines, and with every single headline, it ties into a specific desire, right? Survival, just like you mentioned, it could be clarity and comfort, right? There's 8 different desires. So I created that big long list so that it varied the desires, it varied what the subject was about, and it's gonna be 2 posts a day already, and I already had them both out today. So it's like, and I want to launch toward, and of course there's gonna be another event, like a springboard event prior to, which I won't share yet, right? Because Noah and I are still trying to dial that out. But it's gonna. So now moving forward, just know September 30th, that's gonna be the day. I'm saying it right now because if we don't do it, then you guys please send me hate mail. Please.
Yes.
Please.
Hold our face to the fire.
Yeah, dang.
That's really
That's
good.
tough.
So you've curated, right? Yeah. You've curated. We talk about the kind of 4 C's, at least is the framework that we're fleshing out, is you curate ideas, then you get into creation mode because you're going to expand those ideas into tweets, into threads, into newsletters, into shorts, into long form pieces of content on YouTube. What's opened my mind is like you're expanding that into a framework, more bullet points, more stages, more topics, subtopics.
Yes.
And that's really helpful. So you can expand on that idea to make it come to life.
Seriously.
So creation, where are we focusing our time? Where are you focusing your time? And how are you approaching creation? Because we include publishing it, right? Hitting send, getting it out there. Sometimes that's the hardest part.
That's the hardest part for me. So like, do you have to show that one prompt you've used in order to create a Twitter post? Like, I would love for you to give that away, because at that point, like, that's what's been helping.
I'll pull it up for the people.
Yeah, pull it up. Let's share it, because that right there.
Keep riffing. I'll pull it up.
I went ahead, and now that I know what the headlines are, I know exactly what it speaks to the problem, right? I know, and it speaks to the problem and how it's affecting a specific desire. In this case, survival. Today was survival, and for the software world, we the whole topic was how can you as a software entrepreneur stand out in this jungle of other software companies that are coming out every second, right? How do you survive and really stand out? And that was a topic, right? And that ties into what Scaling Engine does. We help you figure out how to stand out in a way that builds true rapport, true relationships. So with that one headline in mind and the one desire in mind, along with how I can transition that, I popped it into that topic. I popped it into your prompt on ChatGPT saying, hey, narrow down this by 280 characters. Make sure it's specific. Make sure it does this, this, and that. Make sure this format breaks so that way it looks pleasing to the eye. And what I do is I copied that prompt and I just put in my topic, and it spit out this really, really detailed something that was specific to my persona, what they will be willing to read and engage with, right? And I thought that saved me so much time. I don't just copy and paste it because I need to add myself to it, right? So that's what I did. I changed it so that way it helped me. At the end of the day, what it did for me was save me mental workload of what to talk about on this topic. And then I just tweaked it in my own words.
10-80-10. If you're someone who hasn't tapped in and just started playing with it, we're trying to put some prompts out there or make it easier.
Yes.
Just package this in a way where you can, even though it's just tapping into a chat bot, it still can be overwhelming if you don't know how to. We hear people say all the time, I don't like the results. Like, it's not even close. And it's like they're putting in one sentence, telling it one thing to do. Write me an essay on this, or blog on this. You got to give it a role. You got to give it a goal. You got to give it context.
Yes.
And so we're really excited about some of the results we're getting because of that very reason. We feel less mental drain because we're sparked, and then we can pull stuff out of us, just like when someone has a good conversation with you and you're like, oh, it sparked something in you. So
100%.
I got that pulled up if we want to share it, and then we can get back to the next.
That way they can screenshot it.
We'll wrap up quick.
And they can copy it inside. Of course, you can get access to the entire prompt library that Noah built. I know that we're giving it away to a couple people just to try it out to see how it works in your world. So if you're interested in getting that, leave a comment down below. You know where to find us. Our information is going to be on here, the email as well. You can hit us up as well. We'll make sure that we include an option for you to just grab all of it. Like we mentioned, we want to be able to distill information that's easily available and actually tweak it in a way that works for you. And that's our job, trying to save that. So do let us know if you want access to this, because he's giving it to me, and I promise you, without a doubt, I've saved 2.5 hours a day in just trying to create content, right? And this saved that part. Now I can just put in 30 minutes to tweak it to my liking.
It's been cool, hasn't it?
Super cool.
So I'm really excited about this. I'll just breeze through it. I'll preface with what this is. This is a automatic idea curator from your favorite Twitter writers, right? So Tweet Hunter is a tool where you can schedule and get inspiration and pull out top tweets from other people as well. But this creates in your own knowledge base a place where you can always go, and it pulls out the topic from what the tweet was, and it creates a standalone tweet that could stand beside it and not be copywritten, and it's tailored to your audience, and can be used to both engage on the tweet and or repurposed, kind of tweaked to put your flavor on it, to make your own short form posts or expand it into longer form content. So here's an example, right? We love Danco. So every time Danco tweets that's not a retweet, it comes into this Zap. Dude, Zapier's changing their interface. Pretty cool. But then it pulls out the topic. So, right, summarize the unique main idea in 7 words or less from the following tweet, and only output the idea. Not anything like the idea is, because the idea here is this. You don't want that. We want the actual clean topic. So we pull that out with ChatGPT. Then we take the actual tweet and we plug it in and we give it a role. We give it goals, it being ChatGPT, the AI, and then we give it rules, right? Rules and examples. So I won't read through all of this. I'll scroll through slowly. If you watch this on YouTube,
pause it.
Or if you listen on podcasts, hop onto YouTube and check out this prompt, and you should be able to type it in. But we give it a role and an audience, right? Digital entrepreneurs. You know, the ChatGPT has an expertise in digital entrepreneurship, Christianity, psychology, AI automation. Because this is my heart. This is kind of like what I love to talk about and dig deep into. And then we give it the short form piece of content goal, and then we give it the rules. So 3 to 5 succinct bullets. We want to have a banger of an opener, 3 to 5 bullets, and then an awesome closing that encourages or reiterates, drives the point home. because you could use even the top one just as a simple tweet, or I love to put the tweets where it's opener, 3 to 5 points, closing, because that length can also be a good Facebook post or LinkedIn post. So we bring that down through here, give it examples of six proven single sentence openers. And I learned some of this stuff from Nicholas Cole and Dickie Bush, so check those guys out as well. So we put in all those examples, and then so now finally follow everything I just said. Write the short form content about this topic. You must follow the rules above and keep it under 280 characters for Twitter, or X. It's called X now.
Yes, 100%.
So what that looks like comes into our Notion, and here we go, Daniel. This is our swipe, right? We always have inspiration. So just today, we got 19 new topics to think through. That's kind of insane, isn't it? So, oh man, lack of change and recycling life's months. Leveraging concepts for high-performing angle. Like, oh, that's interesting. And so Danco, we've got his tweet here.
That's his tweet, correct? It pulled that
and
tweet.
then it automatically generates us our own tweet here, right? That alone right there could be a tweet. Driving success isn't accidental; it's deliberate. That's a nugget
You know
to
how
chew
many
on,
followers would check that out? That one, like you said, would easily get caught up there. You can just add that one piece alone, right? Or you can just riff on the video, right? So it's like,
yeah. I mean, look at his tweet and then look at that. What do you think? I ripped that from Danco. Not at all. Embrace he pulls some things maybe in the bullets that for ideas, but stay ahead with these concepts. Let them navigate your entrepreneurial journey. Sometimes you get things that are kind of like cliche sounding, but again, right, put the last 10% on it. But what's cool, right, is we could take any of this, click right into Danco's, right to his tweet. What are they gonna call it now? A Zeet or an X? We could comment right there. And we've seen this is the next C, right? It's conversation. It's our community. It's engaging in the community. Actually being a part of the community. It is called social media for a reason. And we're guilty of not making the time because we've got a lot on our plate. Go in there and engage. And you hear everybody say it. That's when things really start to pop off. I mean, I had someone share mine. It's not huge, but they quoted my tweet and it got 4,000 impressions, which is big for me because I haven't been super active on engaging in Twitter. So I'm like, oh, it was a validation.
Yes.
So let's double down on that and let's leverage this curation for quicker content creation and use it to engage in the community.
And that's really what it is because, what was I saying? I've using that example that he shared, and I would literally just copy what it said, and then I would add some words on top of that saying, I love the fact that you mentioned this because I've learned this. And then instantly I got the person that I put it on, and he ended up following me and liking 3 of my posts, right? It's funny because it works, and it made sense. It just helped me. I didn't have to think of that. It was just the way it was created was so beautiful that I thought, let me just add my piece to it. So we want to bring that home, that at the end of the day, it's feeding all these areas. It's helping you save time, but it's also helping you nurture the people that you want to be around as well. So
totally, which is the final C, right? Conversations, one-to-one conversations with people you're interested in connecting with. Could be potential customers. Doesn't always have to be that angle. Sometimes it's network, right? Sometimes it's dropping some value to someone, and that was a great conversation.
So this episode was great. Like the fact that we gave an idea of like who, what, why, right? We understand that the when you have a specific customer you're speaking to, or at least a target persona, you know how to create content for them. You can build that up by creating a campaign, right? So that we can speak. It has to have an end goal, but at the end of the day, also using resources like knowing who your target, or like knowing what to write about, and using tools like this. Take that. Please screenshot that and add that in. If not, just get it from Noah himself. Right?
You can modify that and just take someone. You could literally take someone's tweet, plug it into that prompt, put it in ChatGPT, bada bing, bada boom. Save it somewhere. Save it on a clipboard if you're on iOS. If you're on Apple, put it on a keyboard shortcut. Pretty handy.
100%. So I think that was really nice. We walked away with some value there, I hope.
Now it's building discipline, right? So what's your goal? 100 pieces of content by 46 days. How many hours a day are you looking to spend on that? We're trying to be as efficient as possible with AI, right?
Yes, 100%.
But what's your cap, right? Because you can't, if you don't put a cap, it could take 3, 4, 5 hours.
So today, creating that 100 pieces of content have taken me 2.5 hours. Like, imagine it was come on, like it's to 100 feet pieces of content. So of course, and I want to make sure it was intentional. So I spent time in the morning understanding who the persona is, and I broke down like from the awareness stage, the Eugene Sports awareness stage. I literally built a persona for stage 1 all the way to stage 5 and asked myself, which one of these stages do I want to speak to? And right now it's just problem aware, right? Not solution aware, but problem aware, right? And now that I got that person, then I pulled in your prompt and I asked it to help me make this 100 pieces of content around these desires. So that took me 2.5 hours. But once I was done with that, to put out a post, I did it on my phone while changing my son's diaper, right? Playing with him on the floor. It took me like 20 minutes, right? My idea, I was distracted, but I was able to pop out an idea from that first day concept, the first day post, and I added my flavor to it, and it's already ready for LinkedIn now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So like I mentioned, it took me 2.5 hours just to create that from scratch, but now it's about 20 minutes while playing with your son.
Yeah.
To get that out. So really helpful.
Yeah. Sometimes when I fall behind, like I can just go to that swipe and get something out
Just
in 5 minutes too.
throw
It's
it
a
out.
short tweet.
There you go.
And then go pick someone to engage with. If you do those a few
Yes.
times a day, 15 minutes, then you've got 3 tweets and 3 engagements, and then maybe you get some people respond back and then engage with them.
100%.
So
100%.
that's a big takeaway for me. Try to keep it simple. Be willing to suck. Be willing to
Yes.
embrace the suck of not seeing quick feedback.
Mhm.
And that's what we're doing, right? We're built of like we're kind of beginner stage. Like we have some
100%.
superpowers behind us. Like we see the framework here, we see the tools that can help us.
Yes.
Now we got to stay consistent and not chase numbers, but chase impact and community and speaking to that who with the stuff we're learning, the things that can help people.
Yeah, we're going on that journey for you,
Yeah.
so that way you don't have to, right? And at the end of the day, we're trying to make Napoleon Hill proud, right? So I think just like what he did, he went around, he started picking out what success was, and our job now is to create that and make it a little bit more open sourced, right?
Boom. That was a good one, man. Let's go apply it and make some content.
Sounds like a plan.
Catch you in the next one.
Hey, thanks for watching the Success Open Source Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, we would love for you to subscribe and join the community. Until next time, take care and let's all make success a little more open source.